Blog Talk Radio.
Just wanna get one thing straight. Everything I say on this track ain't up for debate. No, yeah, I do pray you relate. If your name's not written in a book, you'll be all bent out of shape. Yeah, let us now all praise Him. The God of Israel made us His favorites. Ain't it crazy? Ain't it crazy? So what if some don't believe us? We're famous, legendary, legendary.
Quality of life is so high when I'm feeling you good. Possibilities start to fly when they climbing so rude. But when I'm back alive, I don't try cause I'm hella confused. Is the Hennessy the only reason why you understand my mood? See, I've been picking up the driftwood. Only so much I can take. If I'm a lie about me. If I'm a play, I'ma need a memory that you can't take it no more than what you're holding back for. If I'ma try, I don't need an excuse. There's something better to do. You can't teach me how to love you. There's nothing here to say. The birds took it. You can't change me, I don't trust you. My heart's not here to say. The birds took it, and I'm flying away. The birds took it, flying away. got me fucked in my health. Playing with your mind gives me time in the karma of hell. And I can be the one who's the cause of you hurting anymore. So I'm packing up my shit. If you need me, don't bother, cause I can't take it no more. See, I've been picking up the driftwood. Only so much I can take. If I'm a lie about me. If I'm a play, I'ma need a memory that you can't take it no more than what you're holding back for. If I'ma try, I don't need an excuse. There's something better to do. You can't teach me how to love you. There's nothing here to take. The birds took it. You can't change me, I don't trust you. My heart's not here to take. The birds took it, and I'm flying away. The birds took it, flying away. The birds took it.
What it do, everybody? It's your man, Mr. Stout, right here on the Skeem Beatz Radio Music Review on the exclusive interview right now. Also, right here on the Move Unscripted as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, brand new, things are going on, everything right there. Yeah, tonight, we got a good guest that's coming on the air with us tonight. Coming out of Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush, Stand Up. Got a new book out there. It's called From Assyria to America, the 12 Tribes Are in Derision. And the author's name is Vincent Hutchinson. How you doing, brother?
Yes, hello. Peace. Can I be heard?
Yes. Yeah, can you hear us right now?
I hear you now. Yes, I hear you. You hear me?
Yes, we do.
How you doing?
I'm
well. How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Now, we want to kind of go into some of the things what's going on with you for this book that you have right here. But before we get into that, kind of give us a little bit of background about where you come from and what you're doing with this your whole thing with this book.
All right. Well, thank you for the time. First and foremost, giving honor and respect to the Creator of heaven and earth. My author's name is Vincent Hutchinson. My culture name is Yeshaya Yisrael. I come out of Brooklyn, New York, but I'm not currently living in Brooklyn, New York. I'm in a different borough of New York. I'm in Harlem. I'm in Manhattan.
Okay.
All right. About myself, 40 years old, as stated, came out of New York. Wanted to always be a writer, wanted to always become an author. The timing came up for it to be. I was told of a company called Create Space, took the draft, put it together, and then put it in through that company for the first book that dropped. This one here being my 7th book that dropped, that we're speaking about tonight, called From Assyria to America. And my culture is based upon the Old Testament of the Bible, namely the Torah, and that is the aspect in which I'll be coming from historically in this particular presentation. Thank you again for the time.
Yes, man. I love this right here, man. And excuse me. We actually have a few people who've been on the air with us, about this. When it comes to having conversations about the Bible, having conversations about where it all derivative from before, because the Bible is not as old, or certain messages have been out there, or scribes that was out there prior to the Bible, but at the same time, what you have for this, for Assyrian information, to America, can you give us a little bit of a synopsis about what this is all about?
Yes, I can. Okay. The point and the premise of this is talking about the Israelites, the people of the Bible that was taken into the Assyrian captivity in the 8th century BCE. And for those who know about history, about kingdoms and empires that came up, you understand that Assyria came up. We're talking under Tiglath-Pileser III. Then after that, you had his successor, who was Sargon. Then you had Sennacherib. Then you had Esarhaddon. So now, by the time Assyria falls to the Babylonians, the Israelites were also in Babylon. Now, this is confirmed biblically, that is of the Bible, and externally outside of the Bible. So now, by the time you get in speaking with the Babylonian Empire that then came up under the famous person we know about as Nebuchadnezzar, Merodach Baladan, Nabonidus, and so forth and so on.
Right.
We then have Media-Persia, then Greece, then Rome, then diaspora, and that's what this book gets into, going down per chapter.
Okay, so like you break it down so that for the information that you actually have out there, so then like people can research these things too. But then it's actually right there for them as well, to go further with it.
Yes. In the book entitled From Assyria to America, there are 10 chapters in it, the last chapter being the bibliography. So the sources in which I used came from different ones. Rudolph Windsor, who wrote a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu. Joseph Williams, before that, who wrote a book called Hebrewisms of West Africa. Stephen Jacobs, who wrote a book called Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa. And one of my other teachers, Kohen Mikael, who wrote a book called Israelites and Jews, The Significant Difference. So those are just some of the highlights about where I get my information from. Now, I didn't entitle it with anything named of the Bible within the title for two reasons. One, there's already a lot of information about that. And two, I didn't want it, and the book is not based primarily on the Bible as the only or main source. Most of the information comes externally. When I say externally, I'm talking about from archaeology, from records of other nations, confirming what the biblical record has stated. And this is what I wanted to get into regarding this particular book.
All right.
You know what? I think this is really interesting because, growing up in school, we learned about, everyone took history class, and every time that they ever talked about African Americans, it never went. It started with slavery, like we know about the coming over on the ship and all that kind of stuff, like. But we never. It was like as if our history began right there, because we know they told us, well, we got you from Africa, but that's all we knew. So it's really interesting to read books and hear from people who can tell us some things of who we really are. You know what I'm saying? Or who they in their research they found who we are. Like, we didn't just start when we came over on the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, our history didn't start just there. Like, some of us may not even be from the same parts of Africa, or it could be other areas.
Or been here.
Or that, or whatever. So I think it's really interesting that you wrote a book to kind of break it down. Yeah. But you go deep because you talk about the 12 tribes, the chosen ones. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Thank you again for the time in that particular aspect. If I may, I wanted to go over the chapters of the book and explain a little bit of that, and that should hopefully satisfy what you had just asked me, my friend.
Okay.
The first chapter of the book is called
We
From
don't want
Egypt
them
to
to do
America.
much, though. We want them to read it. We don't want to give them a whole lot.
No, I understand that. I just wanted to go over the similar like what Amazon does when they say look inside, like a snippet once it comes down to that. What the first chapter gets into is the understanding of when you hear Israelites say that Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, when it says, "And the Lord shall bring you back into Egypt in ships," why do we say that that is speaking of a prophetic aspect of the Atlantic slave trade? Is this in Hebraic thought, the Hebrew word translated as Egypt is the word Mizrayim. But the word Mizrayim, for those into the linguistic matter of Hebrew, knows good and well that that word means double straits or double distress. So, as pointed out earlier in another presentation, 70 or 60% of a people's culture is based upon their language. So, this is why certain words cannot be put into other people's languages once it comes down into that particular aspect. The other chapter, briefly to touch on it, is called From Avaris to Alabama. And what that talks about is Avaris being Tel El Daba or Hutwaret of ancient Egypt, and where the Bible in the book of Exodus talks about the Israelites being enslaved by the Egyptians, where Egyptians spoke upon it and what they refer to as the Lahud Papyrus, Lahun, or when they spoke about it in the Apura Papyrus, both of that dating to the Middle Kingdom of Egypt. So when you're looking historically and externally, meaning external outside of the biblical text, because according to the Bible, in the Torah, it says you have to have 2 or 3 witnesses to justify a matter. So if we're going to present this as what we're saying is our part in history of truth, then we need to try to find out what are others saying of this particular matter as well. And that's what that one gets into in that particular case. The next chapter, thank you again for the time, is called The Romans and the Israelites. What that gets into is talking about the Roman historian Tacitus, as well as Plutarch, who actually spoke of the Israelites during that time. And it's something interesting because when you look at, for instance, a book called Before the Mayflower, which is a popular book written by LaRon Bennett Jr., he mentioned that when people was brought over here from Africa as slaves, they were called Ethiopians. The term Ethiopian or Ethiopia, as Ivan Sertimore pointed out in his book entitled African Presence in Ancient Europe, you will get into the aspect of saying the Etiops, which means burnt face. So if the Romans had even described the Israelites as Ethiopians, the Atlantic Ocean of today was geographically on the old maps of the 18 and 1700s called the Ethiopian Sea. And so that's what we want to point out regarding that particular case. So that gets into the Romans from the era of Pompey of Rome all the way down to Hadrian of Rome, which was one of Rome's emperors in the diaspora, that is spoken about with them fleeing into Africa. There was Israelite communities still even today in Ethiopia called Ngonda. You may have heard in southern Africa about the Libas. There are many people that actually lay claim to this outside of just some people you might have seen speaking in the street, or some people you might have heard on the radio, or some people you might have heard who wrote a book. And so these kinds of things to point out in that particular matter. All right, the other chapter to speak on very briefly, and I'll notice the brother who runs the show mentioned whether of being in here beforehand. That is a subject that is not to be denied, because the slave trade that is spoken of in the book is called From Ghana to Georgia. While Christopher Columbus, and before him, you had the guy Amerigo Vespucci was shipping black people over from the West over to Europe. And there's a book called Black Indians by Lawrence Katz that talks about that. So this is something that the Atlantic slave trade as a whole first went from Africa into Europe, and then all the way from America to Europe, and then from Africa into America. And so that's what they refer to in part as the triangular trade. One of the things wanted to mention
the Caribbean too, as well, though. With the Caribbean as well.
Right, you're absolutely right, because the first one, and I didn't mean to overtalk anyone, the first one that is recorded going west was into what we call Dominican Republic or Haiti of today, which is called Santo Domingo, by the colonizers back then. One of the things to point out is in 1518, was the first date of that being recorded, but there was already people of color already within the Western Hemisphere. So, or black people of what we would call in the Western Hemisphere. This is spoken about by the guy who America is named after, named Amerigo Vespucci. He spoke about that. And so just to point that out for reason and purposes, the other chapters briefly, thank you again for the time, from Dahomey to Delaware, about what happened going from the western shores of Africa to what we call the state of Delaware, which around the time was part of what we call Pennsylvania today before it was recolonized, and so forth and so on. From Nigeria to Niagara. In that particular chapter, what I attempted to show was the contracts that Portugal had with Spain, that such as what they refer to as the Asiento. Now, Christopher Columbus, whose name was Cristobal Colombo, right? This was pointed out by a lot of scholars in history. He spoke with Isabella and Ferdinand in the 15th century in order to sit there and get people to finance his trade. Christopher Columbus never came properly to the area that we call the United States of America today. The places geographically that he went to, when you get into the timing and the matter of this, the Canary Islands, San Salvador, Cuba, Hispaniola, Santa Maria Islands, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Dominica, and Trinidad, and Venezuela. He never came to Florida. He was never in, say, New York. And so when they talk about him discovering something, they knew exactly what it was. He had a guy named Luis Torres that was with him who was his Hebrew translator. They knew good and well what they was trying to say that they was going to be looking for and who they was taking as captives as well. And these are some of the stuff that These are some of the stuff that I wanted to point out in this particular the book and so on. Hopefully that was a synopsis of that. Hopefully that answers your question. If there's more questions, please, I feel free. And I, again, am appreciative of the time to even do such presentations as such. Thank you.
No, I love it. So there's a lot. I think last year, it was last year, and it might have been, or maybe it was the year before when I was in Atlanta. I used to see, I guess it's explain to us the modern day. I don't know if what you're saying. That we see dressed in
Hebrew, like Israelites, like they know who, that
you see dressed in the different clothing and stuff.
Yeah, right. One of the things I say this, and I say in giving honor to the Creator of heaven and earth. I'm familiar with those brothers. I personally am not from the same school of the brothers you may have seen in the downtown Atlanta or in Chicago that you see with the studs or their garments that you see there. There's two things I would say. One, it takes heart to stand in the street dressed like that and preaching and talking what you're talking. Two, not that everything is about the dollar, but the sisters who makes those clothes, they get paid. Not one of those outfits that you see those guys wearing costs less than $250. And so if you see about 8 or 9 of them, if there's 1 or 2 sisters who made it, that's good rent money. And so one of the things I give respect to them for is they want to sit there and support and keep that money circulating within their own community and their own people and so forth and so on. The issue is this. Once it comes down to there may be a difference in understanding about ideology or understanding of what is to be taught or what we accept as to be true and not true. The primary difference, I must say, between, say, the schools I came from and was brought up under and the schools that you might have seen, say, in downtown Atlanta or downtown Brooklyn or midtown Manhattan or those you might have seen even on the talk shows and so forth and so on, is the acceptance of whom they refer to as Jesus Christ. We, the schools that I come from, do not pray in the name of Jesus. We do not say that he is sent for us because we already state and understand that the Creator already gave us His laws, statutes, and commandments. And if He was to be a prophet, then He would have understood that as well. The deification that
I wanted to reach out there while you saying that,
yes.
But you're explaining that, but could you kind of go into why would you feel that for what your what your brand, what your religion is doing, or how you feel how can you elaborate on the way you feel about how you would denounce Jesus Christ? You wanted to dig into why would you say that?
Okay. I thank you again for the question and the time. Once it comes down to that, there are within what is referred to as the New Testament, if we can say this, and I say this in no disrespect or offense, different Jesuses. What do I mean by that? In one case, he's born of a virgin. The other case, he's the sperm or the seed line of a man. In one case, you have it to where he was in heaven and he came down on earth. And so from the conception or the origin of where he is said to come from, we know that when a person is loved and respected, they who love or respect him or her will go in once it comes down to that. I will sit there and say, no disrespect or trying to be too personal, my mother, may she rest in peace, was the best cook on the earth. Of course, in my world, that is. And so that is what happened once it came down to that. During the era, and this is interesting, we go in there because in the book, From Assyria to America, we're talking about the deification is what happened, which changed from Yeshua to Jesus. He has a new genealogy. His mother was never touched by man. He ascended into heaven. He was without sin. What was done was giving the titles that was of the Creator and of the children of Israel to Jesus. Case in point, Lord, some people say he's God, God in the flesh, the Son of God, prophet, King of Kings, priest. Those titles were either belonging to the Creator of heaven and earth or the children of Israel. This is
Can I interrupt you for just a second because I want to ask you a question.
No problem.
Because I am of a spiritual, Christian faith, and I do believe in Jesus. I believe in the Trinity. So the one question that I have, and not just for you and your religion, but for all religions, I really don't understand why it is that they like to always come for us. I don't get that. Like, everybody has their own belief as to how, God and how the earth started and all that kind of stuff. But why is it that they always come for Christians? They don't come for Muslims. They don't come for, for Catholics. They don't come for nobody else. They always come for us.
Right now.
Well, Donald Trump is from a different world, period. But why do they always come? Why do they always like to go in and try to dismantle the Christian belief when there's so many Buddhists, there's so many other different religions? Why do they always come for the Christians?
Okay, I can state this from what I'm understanding of giving honor to the Creator of heaven and earth. Of the 10 books that I wrote, one of them, which I do not honestly promote much, is called Old Testament Israelites Respond to Messianic Israelites. The guy that you see, ma'am, that sister that you mentioned in Atlanta, those brothers are deemed by their own volition Messianic Hebrew Israelites. And I can say, once it comes down to coming at Christians, is this: Christianity came at a lot of people when knowing its history. Christianity has fought against Islam, and I am not a Muslim myself. Christianity has within its doctrine would say that I am Antichrist and I am out of my mind and I'm condemned. In the doctrine of Christianity itself, I'm a madman. So you have already, not you, the people who allowed me to be on the show. But the general synopsis of the religion itself has already condemned others in their own rights by saying they who don't believe in Jesus will be condemned. Now, there are situations where people say if you live right, eat right, do right by people, but you are not believing in any part of the Bible, then you're still condemned because you must believe in this in order to be saved. So you, by default, have already condemned me. So this makes the backlash come hard by many people because deep down, many people believe if you don't believe in Jesus Christ as the only begotten Son of God, then you're already condemned. That is a fundamental belief within Christianity. So even if it's not promoted or stated, it's still in one's heart in many cases once it came down to that. So why others don't, or pardon me, why others do, I'm not exactly too sure on that. Nonetheless, there are a lot who come at quote on us as Old Testament Israelites. There's a situation in the book that we're talking about. I explained the Hebrew word that doesn't mean Jew. So we have within that a contention with the said Jewish man, a contention with, sadly, other Israelites who say that we are out of our mind and going to be condemned, and the aspect that we are deemed as racist. So there's a lot of things that we too, if we want to put it in terms of such, that have to sit there and condemn, and it comes with the territory once one presents him or herself out there, that backlash may come.
Okay, so I understand now. So what you're saying is because Christians have come at y'all or come at the people or come at the world at different times, that's why they come for us. That's what you're saying.
That can definitely be, I don't want to sound mean and say so, but you can't have a belief that says somebody is going to be condemned and burned in hell forever and then expect them to be at peace with you perpetually. That just can't be. If you feel that I'm evil, I can't rock with you 100 like we all friends. It's just what it is.
That's right. Okay, I understand that. Especially you from New York, y'all don't play around. Yeah, New Yorkers don't play around. We ain't messing with you. They ain't like some flaky people where they act like they like you, but they don't. New Yorkers don't mess with you. They don't even talk to you on the street. Do you know me? Why are you talking to me? I feel you. And by the way, I love Harlem. I think that's the most beautiful part. Harlem. I love Harlem. So I can definitely understand that. I personally, and this is just my personal belief, I do believe in the Trinity. I do believe in Jesus. I do believe in all of that. But I also believe that there are many avenues to God. That's my belief. And I believe that God made all of us different. And because he made us all different, we all have different beliefs, but there's one creator, one God. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel. I feel like, just because you don't believe in what I believe, this is my feeling. Just because you don't believe what I believe does not mean that you don't believe in God. You know what I'm saying? Because God speaks to everybody individually or whatever. So, and in all honesty, Christianity and all the Buddhists and all the different things are religions. You know what I'm saying? And I feel at this point in our life that God really wants us to have a relationship with him and not necessarily a religious type thing.
Who's right,
who's wrong. We ain't going to find out after we get to heaven when we ask him, like, who was really right, God? Was it us or was it them? We're not going to know to the end.
We're supposed to, live that truth that we speak about. That's what I think.
Yeah, I believe that there's many avenues to God. I really do believe that. So that's just like what's the one Christian group that everybody always come for? They be knocking at your door.
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody come for them. Even everybody come for the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they believe in what they believe. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that they going to hell because that's what they believe. Because in all honesty, we are all believing in the same God. We just have different variations. I guess different ones of us believe that he chose a different prophet to spread the word, or a different child of God, or whatever your religious belief is. I just believe that we all are connected through one God, but we just might have different ways of expressing or speaking about what we believe. But I personally believe in Jesus. I do. I'm a Christian to my heart. But I guess I'm just one of those free thinkers because I just believe there's.
I'm kind of atheist for a little bit.
You atheist? What are you doing in my house? Why are you next to me? Like, what point am I just learning this? You ain't atheist. You ain't atheist. Are you atheist?
In the thought process of it all, I'm not saying this is like, no, but I believe in what we can get from what, the Son. Like, you think of Son of Man, SON, but I'm more intuitive, like the Son gives us everything we need, like SUN.
So you don't believe you
like if we have to survive in a world where we have to like get what we need, God gave us already. He already made those things for us. So to say who's the best guy, like, you know how to survive in a world. Like, if I had to like make my own.
But you
food,
believe in God, though, right?
Like, yeah, the Son.
You believe that God is the Son?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
My Superman God, that's why.
The Son is the most powerful thing that we have in our universe. It gives us everything that we need. And that's what it's a lot of things. I believe with the stories that we read, we interpret it to different ways that would affect us. About how the way we can interpret it. But that's the way I interpret it. They're saying like God gave us his only Son, right?
And you spell Son SUN and not SON.
Yeah.
So okay, but you grew up Baptist.
Yeah.
But along the way, you swung from Baptist to what?
The Sun God.
No, you had some stops in between, didn't you?
5% nation. Can
I ask a question?
I'm doing math.
I just believe that there are many avenues to God, but I don't disrespect or speak down on anybody's belief. You know what I'm saying? Because the only time that we're really gonna find out who was right out of all the people that's fighting around trying to say they're the one is when we go to heaven. And God can tell us we created what was that, what, right?
So how was you before you became into existence? What was you before you became into existence?
You was the spirit.
When you go out of existence, you just said that, right?
You just spirit, you're an angel, yeah.
Right.
I do believe
that. How about that? So you live in that dream of that, so with the piece that we deal with. But it's definitely dope, man. From Assyria to America, we got. Brother right here. Now I want to call you like Vincent Hutchinson, but you gave me your name for your understanding again.
That's his author name. Vincent.
Well, Vincent Hutchinson is my pen name in regards with being the author. My Hebrew name is Yishael. If you go on Amazon, you will see Vincent Hutchinson and you will see the book come up. But I would like to, if I have the moment to speak real quick in regards with that. The Hebraic understanding for sun that you see in the sky, SUN, is the Hebrew word shamash. The word shamash in Hebraic thought means that which is used. So the sun that you see in the sky is a ministrant or what is used, you understand, in regards for us. So like say vitamin D comes from it.
Yeah.
Right, but how will it know to give us vitamin D? The sun itself has a creator.
Vitamin D.
Right, but the sun itself has a creator. So the things that we get like from vitamin C or vitamin B, to my knowledge, does it come from that? So where we say as Israel that Yah, the creator of heaven and earth, is Elohim, such as saying the powers that's immense. And one is the one who created the sun for its purpose, the moon for her purpose, knowing the duality of masculine and feminine energy, and so forth and so on. The earth and the minerals that come from it. And so this is no disrespect toward anybody's understanding or so forth, but I just wanted to, for you all and for the listeners, to give an example of how we as the House of Israel will view such a particular matter. I think you was going to say or ask something regarding the book, if I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is where Kenny was saying he believes in the sun, you're saying there is a creator of the sun. God is the creator of the sun. So
because the sun itself,
that's the main source, though.
Yeah, but somebody created that.
Your main source.
It's the main source that was provided for you.
The sun created everything.
No, the sun didn't create nothing. The sun is necessary.
Yes, it has.
It's like
you have.
the world under a
it
lamp.
protected you.
Like,
it gave you food. It gave you water.
But
it gave you clouds.
That?
It gave you everything in the universe.
It's just like the stars, just like the moon.
Yes,
there is one being that created that for you to survive.
The sun, because if he was on Mars, if he was on Mars, if he was on Jupiter, if he was on the moon, if he was on any of those planets, he would not survive.
Okay, but the sun did not create the moon. The sun did not create Jupiter. The sun did not create the stars. The sun, no, it didn't. I don't believe that.
It created all of those things.
No, it's necessary for life. Oxygen is necessary for life. Like rain is necessary for life.
For the earth. How can we communicate? Any other species really can communicate with each other, and to be able to speak to each other, to do the things that humans do on this planet called Earth, right? That's another name as well, right? So how could we do all these things that we're doing right now, in this time right now, in this time scale where I can speak to this brother, speak to you, and have this? But no other planet in the world has that capability that we can see. But the sun has been working on them all this time.
So the prime thing that you just said is see. You cannot see it with your natural eyes, right? That's what you're saying. If you go on Mars, you don't see it because your eyes were not equipped to. When they said they went to Mars and they went to Mars, they went to the moon, they could not see it with their eyes because their eyes were obviously not equipped to see it. That doesn't mean it's not in existence. It just means that you can't see it. Just like when we talk about faith, right? Believing things that are not as though they are. Seeing things with your spiritual eye and not your physical eye. So just because you can't see it does not mean that it doesn't exist. They could be up there in Mars partying. The astronauts or whoever went to Mars just couldn't see it because their eyes were not developed to see it because their butts weren't even supposed to be up there.
Somebody can see us see what we're doing then. So God can see what we're doing then, right? All right, so God, you can see us. You see what we're doing. I say we're a little messed up right now.
No,
that's what I'm doing right there.
I don't listen to him. I'm just
from Syria to America.
If I can,
to the world, baby.
Like to say something if I can. If I can, I would like to say something, and thank you for the time.
Yeah.
You're welcome, sir.
In the Bible, and when I say that, I'm talking about with the part that's referred to as the Old Testament. There are certain things there that speak about what is referred to in Hebrew as baraka, the other one being kwalala, translated basically as blessing and curse. When you look at what's going on in that particular case, namely like, say, Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, or so on, I would like to point this out. It says, blessed shall you be when you come in, blessed shall you be when you go out. Blessed shall be your basket and your store. Blessed shall be your children. These are things that we talk about as black people, if we want to use the term black. You understand? Which is a byword, but we want to reach out to our brothers and sisters because we know that's a color, but we know what we're saying for what we're saying. One of the things to point out is why we say that the so-called African-American and Afro-Brazilian and the so-called West Indian is in direct line biblically through the prophecies in the scriptures to the house of Israel is this. When you look at the principles of Ma'at of ancient Egypt, when you look at the Enuma Elish of ancient Sumer, when you look at the writings of Confucius of China, when you look at, for instance, the Coda Hammurabi of Babylon, none of those doctrines can match up to what the biblical record speaks about what will happen to a people. So now, once it comes down and getting into the history of this particular matter, what will happen with your family, what to do in the situation when these things come upon us or upon a people. One of the things that Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter states, is that it shall be on you and on your seed as a sign. So when all these things are happening, we have to sit back and look and see, well, what ancient record left, be it ancient Sumer, Babylon, Akkad, Mitanni, Kemet, Egypt, Kush, Ethiopia, Zanuck in Nigeria, the Apache over here in the Western Hemisphere, the Olmecs, the Aztecs, any of these people, so we speak of, what record can we look at ancient nations to sit there and see what matches identical to whom we're talking about? Now, when we're saying that we are of the Israelites, this is the record that we, knowing, just if you want to say it in terms a little bit of history and understanding certain things about linguistics, is why we state what we state. I don't want it to present as if it was a debate or a challenge, and it's a good thing to be open-minded, to be able to speak even with people may have a difference of understanding or a disagreement, because we're all adults. Right. And so this is how reasoning comes in together. The Bible talks about that as well in Isaiah, when it says, come together and let us reason together. So just wanted to point that out in that particular case.
All right. Let's do that,
if that makes sense.
It does. My thing is, so my question to you is, do you find, does your religion follow the Bible? It does follow the Bible.
Yeah,
so most of them.
Yeah.
So basically, the different religions take different parts of the Bible and they focus only on that.
Is it, or is it?
Like they take some and leave the rest. That's what it sounds like. Different religions.
The best part and preserve it.
All right. When we speak upon us as being Israelites, we're saying that we are through the seed and the bloodline of the patriarchs that you read of in the book of Genesis in the Bible. The culture that we follow is called the Torah. So it is not, and I say this in respect, a religious aspect. Of course, we know religion from the Latin religio, which means to hold back or restrain, and or so forth. So we're saying these are laws, statutes, and commandments. The fact I don't sleep with another man's wife is not a religious belief. It's a law. It's a morale once it comes down to that. The reason why, if I see someone who I can help get something to eat, if I'm able to do so, is not a religious belief. Religious would have us, and it's not to be offensive, we wash up religiously, which in that case is not wrong. We eat religiously at a certain time. Things that are to hold back from hunger, you eat at this particular time. But once it comes down to the aspect of the Torot, which is the plural of Torah, which in Hebrew means instruction or teaching, that is not so much per se of a religious aspect, but to put it in English or other terms, a morale aspect. The reason why we don't steal is because of morality. The reason why we say and understand you shall diligently teach your children is because you got to stay in your children's lives. And once it comes into that, hopefully that sheds some light on our understanding with that.
Yes, it does. We want to take a quick break so we can soak in all this.
Mr. Vincent Hutchinson, From Assyria to America, the book out there.
So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back, okay?
All right, thank you so much.
On the move, oh, no problem. On the move, on script. Don't go nowhere.
No problem.
There is one all alone, and there is one with no child or brother, yet there's no end to all his labor, neither all his eyes with riches satisfied. Them although but one can go at once and face the danger set before him. He is blessed with one like himself to push him further, to be the best. Oh, but two are better than one. They have a good reward, and if one of them falls, one will lift up his fellow. Two are better than one. They have a good reward, and if one of them falls, one will lift up his fellow. He's coming home where he belongs, dearly beloved. Welcome home. Put the spring on. Here's your own. You can depend on me. I'm gonna love you like I love me. When it is gonna be, I'm yeah. When you are down, I'll be around for you. I'll be around now. Two better than one. Two are better than one.
Short answers to long, horrific questions about the stain of slavery are not going to solve the inequality problem. We need to focus on wealth creation and wealth generation, and to do that, we must bring the descendants of slaves into equality with this nation, and that's what I propose in this $14 trillion proposal to provide reparations, not only for the sin or the atonement of the sin of slavery and Jim Crowism and desegregation, both de facto and de jure, but to cause America to live up to the concept and the notion that this nation was born on the idea of American exceptionalism.
Origins of the racial wealth gap are enslavement and its aftermath. Not just enslavement, but we also have to pay attention to the aftermath, to the economic terrorism that existed. If you look at 1880, the ratio of black wealth to white wealth, blacks had $1 for every $36 that whites had. But by 1910, that had dropped to $1 for every $16. In other words, black people were making progress. Then you had this rash of Jim Crow laws passed, lynchings that most people think lynchings were about sex, but they weren't. They're about economics. Black people owning businesses, black people trying to unionize, trying to organize as farmers. And so we can look at the enslavement period, but look at the rest of it. People were actively discouraged from accumulating wealth. And that's why the reparations issue is so important.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land,
modern day Black Panther, following the lead of a dream of hollows screaming through Dr. King's rarest banter. We was commanders amongst a bunch of Ned Flanders and 20 and some odd Africans that portrayed planters. Y'all the reason for the everlasting dying season. America, the nebula of the indecent. you owe us for all the years enduring every mistreatment. Plots to kill us, sicking dogs for no reason. Gentrification with no invitation. Ain't got the nerve to be worried about y'all streets. When Black Wall Street was all sweet. The pinnacle of black is facts when we all eat. And when we don't, look at Compton, look at Marcy. Came into our land Nazi-like before the Nazis. Infiltrated tribes and softened up all the armies. Then you stole our identity and set us up with proxies. America, you owe us.
They built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm. This is what we are faced with, and this is the reality.
I just pray that God's forgiven thee. Whole country robbed, mother sobbed, her son's life taken from a cop. Gotta stop the enemy. Lowest educated, most incarcerated, highest aborted. They sell a melanin, all without a penalty. Disguised as entities, provided remedies, deprived amenities, created obscenities, and stripped us of dignity. And we the Trinity, full of divinity, deprived from infinity. That's how we built the shit up off our backs, all black.
When we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
There it is right there, man. Come get that check, man. There's all about that right there, man. The Skeem Beatz Radio music review right here, exclusive thing right here going on right now. We got day night, or I think it's called the night day, publications.com as well. Vincent Hutchinson doing his thing. Make sure I got that right. Did I get that right there, bro?
Yes, thank you for the time again. Day and Night, Dan is one of the 12 tribes of Israel, so it's dayanightpublications.com. That's the website. And the name of the book we're speaking of is called From Assyria to America. It was the work, tedious work, started, 2018, and then just put into print form, thinking to create it earlier this year. As stated, there's 10 chapters in it. It's a 9x6 book. If you go on Amazon and type in Vincent Hutchinson or From Assyria to America, it will come up.
And what's your Facebook and social media handle?
My Facebook is Yeshaya Danite. YESHIAH Yeshaya Danite, DANITE. And my number, business purpose wise as well as for info, is area code 908-587-4841. That's 908-587-4841.
All right,
okay,
man. Yeah.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
That was a lot of information.
It is.
You even have you going back and forth.
Yeah, right?
You don't even know who you be talking to sometimes. I'm like, I should have asked you more questions in the interview process. Yeah, so I love your book, and you have other books out too. That's not the only one that you have. So definitely you can find all of your books on Amazon or different bookstores online.
Yeah, you can get it mainly on Amazon.com. The way the publishers do it, they put it on Amazon, they put it on Craggs, CRAGGS, which is like a third-party seller, and it's also on BarnesandNobles.com as well. So that's those books there. The name of the other ones, thank you again for the time, we're talking about namely is From Assyria to America. And
right.
The other one is Egypt, Talk and Writing. Did the Torah come from the culture of Egypt? That's the question that the book poses. The other one is called Deuteronomy 28:15-68, History Untold to the Masses. That's a book, thinking the creator, I started working on when I was 19, and it didn't get released until I was 31, and then updated at age 36. So, and then the other Hebrew books, or the other books that I wrote are Hebrew books, which is Hebrew is Easy, Volume 1, all the way to Volume 6. So it deals with getting into the language, the alphabet, the vowels, how to read it, how to identify what's what and for conversation purposes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very deep like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's about her name was Amira?
Huh? The Mirror. Yeah. You mean the artist that played her music?
Yeah.
And she is a Israelite too, I do believe. And her name is. Let me see if I put the whole thing in with her. I know it's Zamira Israel. Zamira Israel. That's well, we played her music.
I know who
Legendary
you're speaking of.
People and two are better than one.
Who she is? Yeah.
Oh, you know who she is?
Yes, from online. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she actually was a guest a few weeks ago on Move Unscripted, and we played her music. So I just thought it was fitting for us to play her music during your show because she feels similar to you. I don't know if y'all come from the exact same religion or whatever, but I just thought it was fitting. But we appreciate you definitely for coming on Skeem Beatz Radio Music Review, and sharing this knowledge with us. People perish because of not having knowledge, so it's good to hear different perspectives and different beliefs, and I think the most important thing is, regardless of what you believe, respect someone else's beliefs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You have to respect other people's beliefs. Everybody is not the same. God didn't make us all the same. He made us with all different looks, looks and emotions and thoughts and feelings, and so we also have different beliefs. So even though Mr. Stout, believes in the sun.
Give it 17.
I still respect that's who he believes, as long as he don't mess with my beliefs. So we're able to coexist because we respect each other's belief. I let him. He is who he. Not let you, but he is who he is, and I am who I am, and we're able to coexist with different beliefs. Isn't that beautiful? That's so sweet. I know I did that. So we appreciate you definitely for coming on and sharing your book with us. And we'll definitely be looking out for
Syria to America, Vincent Hutchinson, right?
We'll be looking out for even more books because if you didn't wrote that many, I know you got some more in you.
Well, yes. Honor to the Creator of Heaven and Earth. There are ideas for more books in time. Trying to find a publisher that I'm a little bit more comfortable with. But there's a whole lot of books out in this earth. In regards with this, my teachers, some of them I met in person, some I say is my teachers because they influenced me. The title that we've been speaking of is, as stated, From Assyria to America. And I would like to, for those who are interested, just state the ISBN number, 979-867-5620. And again, my telephone number and business and contact purposes is 908-587-4841. And I want to state that anyone who's ever gotten a book from me or anyone who's ever paid through PayPal or through Cash App, not one person is able to say I defrauded them.
Okay.
We don't move like that.
Right, say that. Yeah. All right. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, once again, we appreciate you for coming on. We appreciate all the listeners who are listening now or who will come back later. And we know that we have listeners that's not just in America. We have listeners all over the world. All around the world.
Right.
So we thank all of you who are going to come, who are listening now, and those who will come back to listen later. And once again, we thank you, Vincent Hutchinson.
Yeah. Boy, want to go in.
Peace and love to you, sir.
Thank you for
coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Turn up, guys.
Look, mama, I'm a king. They grabbed me up and threw me in the ring. No training, they just told me bob and weave. Look, mama, I'm a king. They threw me in the belly of the beast and said I'd never make it out of the streets. But look, mama, I'm a king. Through all the trials and tribulations, came out clean, smiling like they never seen me bleed. Look, mama, I'm a king. Look, mama, I'm a king. Yeah. Higher, higher, higher. Trust me, I am not afraid. So I ain't holding back for no one, no one. Higher, higher, higher. Ain't no need to look away, 'cause I ain't going back for no one, no one. True to my testament, reflection on my past and more. But for a future I couldn't see, my start was past the floor. Stuck in the dark and counted out, yeah, it was sad for sure. Voice said, go and get it, young nigga, what you asking for? I heard a dream was for the niggas that sleep, so stay woke. Most niggas miss the word for most sleeping, they stay broke. They get enough and fight as hard as you can, and it will come. Until it do, give all you got, but when it do, you can't talk. It was a dream that kept me in the dream. Put down the faith and went to work. One thing led to another, cost was high and all the loss was worse. When the venom from this nature took the toll, so I could see the hurt. They needed me to fail, but I prevailed and held my demons hurt. Blood spilled, tear dry. Fear came, I watched to leave. I never thought that in a million years they'd be watching me. By now I probably shed a million tears, couldn't stop the leak. They dragged me through the mud, look what they done, ain't no stopping me. Higher, higher.